Okay, so we'll tease it a little bit in the opener. Not really tease it, we flat out said it.
Hey-oh.
UFC Vegas 96 gave us a new middleweight contender in Borralho. Good main event. A lot of good finishes, some good fights in it. But before we get to the main card, Alex, how about we go over the prelims?
Let's do the prelims first, as they were on Saturday. Victoria Leonardo zigged when she should have zagged. She got knocked out by Wang Kong just a minute and 2 seconds into the fight.
Wang Kong. Everybody Wang Kong tonight.
Hell yeah. Moving on, we had Jacqueline Cavalcanti. She won her 5th straight fight. This time she defeated Josia Nunez by split decision. Cavalcanti stayed at range, using her reach advantage to secure that dub. Next, Slavoklaus Vyshlet-Borshov moved back into the win column with a split decision nod over James Yantop. Slavoklaus did enough with his damage output, even though he barely outstruck Lantop 96-93 in significant strikes. I think that's kind of why you lean towards the split decision. One of the rare correct split decisions. It was a good fight, a close fight. Zachary Reese moved to 2-1 in the UFC with his first trip to the scorecards over Jose Daniel Medina. Reese outstruck Medina and outscored him using 5 out of 9 takedowns, locking 30-27 on every judge's scorecard. Another right one by the judges, in my opinion. And then we rounded off the prelims with Francis Marshall. He stepped in on short notice and handed Dennis Buzuka his 3rd loss in 4 fights. Marshall mixed it up with takedown attempts with control to give himself the edge and the victory to round out and finish off the prelims.
Waste of a good last name for Bazooka as a fighter.
Right?
But yeah, those are the prelims. Let's jump to the main card. Some finishes on the main card. And let's start with the first one. And Alex, this is one I'll tip my hat to you. You were completely right on. Meerschaert subs Shabazian 2nd round. And it was a case where the veteran,
the older guy
who is elite at one thing.
Yeah. 29 submissions for Gerald Meerschaert in his career.
GM3. Beat the younger guy, and he did it at what he does best, as said, submission. Overall, great performance from Meerschaert.
Are you saying that what he does best is taking damage and then getting the submission, almost losing? After almost losing?
I think that follows about his UFC game plan.
Okay. I mean, 37-17, it works. That's a shit ton of fights with a shit ton of wins.
Hey, do what you got to do. But overall, impressive performance from Meerschaert. He did exactly what you said he was going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, he subbed him.
Dude, when that happened in the 2nd round, I was so surprised. I was like, oh, shit, it happened.
Yeah, because as you said, it was a fight where Shabazian was leading the dance, as you say. He was winning the fight. And then, he got a little careless, I think you would say. But
which, if we're talking about how fighters' fights normally pan out, Shabazian is 2-5 in his last 7. That happens to him, it seems, more often than not. Not submission, but being beaten on fights where he should statistically win.
He's still he's only 26 years old.
26 years old.
He's still, that shows sometimes where he doesn't have the veteran savvy. And I think this is one of those moments where, listen, the only way Meerschaert is beating you, especially at that point in the fight, is to sub you.
Yeah.
You got to be careful.
Yeah.
And he wasn't careful, and shout out Meerschaert. This was a great win by him.
Absolutely. It earned him one of the Performance of the Night bonuses.
Well deserved.
Opened up the main card great. I ask, who is next for the 36-year-old UFC vet?
I think he's a guy, he's not really looking to he's not a guy, he's not going to move into the rankings, he's not going to climb the rankings.
But he could, by not mistake, but by just winning fights. Like, he has either 4-1 and 3-2 in his last 5. Like, he's good at putting together some runs.
He is, but then you see, like, when he fights the elite guys, like, remember when he fought Hamzat?
Right.
Just
knocked out.
Right away.
Immediately.
Give me some options.
And that was like 12 fights ago, mind you. He's won a whole
12
bunch
fights
of
ago, but it was
then.
only like 3 years ago, which, shout out Meerschaert, he's very active.
Yeah. All right, so first one, I'm gonna just, this week, I'm gonna tell you exactly what my reach is. That way nothing gets confused, because I got shit on a few times in the comments, and they were kind of hurtful. I'm gonna cry. Either way. Andre Muniz, 15 subs, 4 KOs, similar game styles, wrestler to wrestler. I don't want to see Meerschaert take a whole bunch of damage, just get knocked out cold. He's older. Muniz is a little older. I think it would work out. Ikram Aliskerov, he's not ranked. So, he's up there. He's close. But he's not ranked. He's on his first UFC loss. That was by knockout with Robert Whittaker when he was trying to make his jump. So that's an option. And my reach would be Chris Curtis. Just because.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty big reach.
It's a reach. But Chris Curtis does have very good wrestling defense, very strong, and he does hold the 15th rank. So if, Meerschaert does get a ranking opponent because of the fights he does put together wins on, I think it would be Curtis.
Yeah, I think Chris Curtis that's the reach, and I don't think that's happening. I would say Ikram. I like Ikram. I think after fighting the elite and just getting beat down, this would be a good, see how good he is. It's not a guy that's right at the beginning of his career. It's a veteran.
Yeah, you got to not knock the dust off, but get back up and
it's
try again.
It's a tricky matchup because as Shabazian just showed you, even if you're winning the fight, if you let your guard down for just a little bit, Meerschaert can beat you. So I like that one, Ikram versus Meerschaert.
Cool. Let's go to the next fight.
Probably the most impressive performance of the night, this next fight.
Yeah. Michael Morales proved he can but people were already doubting his finish ability in the UFC because he had a couple decisions.
He proved the odds makers right in this one, too, with the crazy odds. What was it? It was like minus 800?
Minus 1150 was the pre-fight odds.
Which is crazy.
He also debunked my theory. I was actually talking about it right when this fight started, that the super heavy favorites always go to the decision.
Yeah.
And then he got a first-round knockout.
First-round knockout of Neil Magny, by the way. We didn't even say that.
Yeah, so Michael Morales got a first-round knockout 4.5 minutes into the first round over Neil Magny.
Then he did the Miles Morales celebration, Spider-Man on the side of the cage, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool. 17-0. Very awesome. Good performance. Magny hadn't been KO'd since 2018 prior to that, so, he's proven himself durable against a bunch of good fighters himself, not getting, finished that way. He's been subbed a couple times, but that's not Michael Morales' game plan. So.
Yeah, but Morales now, as you said, 17-0, 5-0 in the UFC. This is his third UFC KO.
But he looked just as good as he always does.
Yeah, this guy, I think he's a future title contender.
Yeah.
He's on the rise. I love watching him fight. He has a good personality, very entertaining style. Mm-hmm. I think the sky's the limit for Michael Morales.
So I agree. He's
25 years old.
25 right now. He said he wants to be UFC champion by 27.
I mean, if you keep winning, that's the path's there.
Absolutely. He called out for the second time now Ian Gary.
I like the call out, but Ian Gary's in a position where he's not going to take that fight.
Right. Ian
Gary's like a win away from a title shot.
Right. Ian Gary's a 7th ranked in the welterweight division. He's 15-0, 8-0 in the UFC. Finally getting.
Again, I would love to see that, and I think they could meet future, but for Ian Gary, that fight doesn't make sense.
Not right now.
Yeah.
No, because like you just said, Ian Gary is one win away from a title shot, or we've seen it happen in a bunch of divisions. One bad placement.
Yeah, a couple people get hurt
of a title shot. All right. Outside of him, which I agree, I would love to see Ian Gary versus Morales. I think a great option would be Colby Covington. Reason being, even though he's up there in the welterweight rankings, he hasn't really beaten anybody recently that's that's in their prime. He beat RDA a couple years ago out of his prime.
He hasn't beaten.
He lost to every very strong fighter.
He hasn't beaten anybody in their prime.
His last win was to Masvidal, and then he lost to Leon Edwards, and he looked like shit.
And he's fought like twice in the past 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to see that fight, but I just don't think Colby's. He's not taking that. It's not a big name fight for him. I would like to see it though. I think it would be a good fight for Morales, but Colby's one of those guys. I'm not going to believe he's fighting again until he's walking out to the cage.
Right, and this is just a specifically hard one because there's a lot of contest at the in the welterweight division. So my last option, this is my reachiest of reach plays, is Michael Venom Page, coming
MVP?
off a loss.
I mean, I think MVP's more likely to happen than the other two.
Yeah, I only gave 2 though because it was the call out it's on fire. I like the call out a lot.
I do like the call out. I think MVP's more likely of a matchup for him.
Okay.
But even that's tricky just because MVP's so good with his feet.
Yeah.
Because even Ian Gary couldn't handle MVP's hands and his stand-up.
Yeah,
he had to go to the ground.
Yeah, he took him down. You're right. You are right, sir. All right, let's lock in Venom Page. I would like to see any of those fights, but that one could be the most likely. Maybe.
Do you want to cover the fight we didn't talk about?
Yeah, let's do that real quick because it was a knockout.
It was
fun.
and it was a tough finale.
Yeah, Khan Offley lost, got knocked out by Myron Santos. He won the Ultimate Fighter Season 2 in the featherweight division. Santos took the fight in the second round. Stiff counter left hand.
It was nice.
Slumped him.
It was nice because honestly, with tough finales, I say this and we're about to talk about another one, but you don't typically see. Usually, you don't see finishes.
Yeah, a lot of
like
the
in
times,
a tough finale, both guys. It's such a big moment for the guys. It's like
they're just trying not to fuck it up. That's really what it is. It's not that
Yes.
they're not giving it their all. They're trying not to ruin.
both guys probably a little tight. Yeah.
Their opportunity to get into the biggest fighting stage on the planet right now.
But honestly, even the past few years, like if you're like a semifinalist, you're getting a UFC contract.
Yeah.
Past few, but
Especially with how active the UFC's been being. That kind of adds
Plays
to
into
it.
it, yeah.
They so many Apex fights. You need more contracts coming in, more fighters coming in.
any more fighters nobody's ever heard of fighting.
And then they're all going to grow off the Apex. It's kind of the goal. You get them to figure out who's who. It's kind of like Tough 2. Apex is Tough 2 in a way for a lot of those guys. Anyway, Myron Santos knocked Offley out cold. It was a great performance by him. He won, like we said, Ultimate Fighter 32 featherweight champion. So congrats to him.
Shout out to him. And let's move on to the other tough finale. This one we actually covered.
This fight only lasted 19 seconds longer than the first tough finale that we just talked about.
Yeah, so it was Ryan Lauder KOing, second round KO of Robert Valentine.
Right.
Rob Zilla.
Some vicious elbows, dude. He had him all tied up, and he just he kept just hitting him relentlessly.
Yeah, overall,
just over and over.
It was a performance that kind of like made people notice you. It was,
yeah.
If you're going to go out there, you get an opportunity, not only tough final, you're on a main card of a UFC fight card.
You're in the middleweight division.
And you come up with a knockout like that, one that gets people talking as the third to last fight.
Yeah.
I mean, he took full advantage of the opportunity. So shout out Ryan Lauder. It was an impressive performance from him.
Yeah, and like I said, you're in the middleweight division, so that comes with its own set of flaws because it just must suck to naturally have to fight in a division that is so powerful all the time, And then he knocked the guy out with elbows. It's great. Tough 32 middleweight champion Ryan Lauder. Shout out to him. Move on to Baby Shark defeating Grandma Shark by unanimous decision.
Go ahead, dance on the grave, Alex.
Oh, this one's so good for me. So the UFC keeps hyping that Angela Hill has so many wins in the UFC. She has all of her career losses in the UFC. She's 12-14 in the UFC.
Yes,
losing
that is correct.
By decision to Tabitha Ritchie.
But she had won 4 out of 5 coming into this. But
I'm not saying she's not a good fighter. I'm just saying there's hype where no hype's due. She's consistently not been a top 5 fighter and not deserved a top 5 and then complained when she didn't get ranked consistently because of her not winnability long term. That's all it is.
But shout out, let's focus on Tabitha Ritchie. This was a great performance from her. She's now 6-2 in the UFC. She's won 6 out of 7.
Yep.
She's on the rise. She's in the top 10 now. She's still only 29 years old. So the sky's the limit for her. She's with how shallow some of these divisions are. Tabitha Ritchie's like a win or two away from legitimately being like, give me a title shot.
No, you're absolutely right. Being effective on the feet, equally as effective on the ground.
We knew she had the ground game, and that she's evolving her stand up, which is nice to see. Mm-hmm. And she's 29 years old, so she's kind of entering like the prime of her fighting career. And sky's the limit for Baby Shark. Yeah,
it's going to be great. Next up for her, I mean, she's like you just said, she's the 10th ranked women's strawweight fighter. So she has to face somebody above her next. She's on the climb, right? She has fought some of the people above her. She's won a couple, lost literally 2 fights in her career. I got Amanda Linos. She's a 5th ranked. She's coming off a loss. Verna Yanderova, which is not the fight that's going to happen because she's on the rise, about to get a title shot. That's my reach play. Or Yan Xiaonan, who's the 2nd ranked contender. She's pretty much the the open door, in my opinion, for the next contender to get a title shot after somebody like Verna, because Yan Xiaonan's not gonna fight Weili Zhang again. Not after the beatdown she got. She got fucking submitted.
Yeah, but she held
her
a
own.
good performance at the end of the fight.
But I'm just saying, there's no need for a rematch on that one. Not immediately anyway. There's a bunch of people in the strawweight division that are due a title shot as soon as the champ is ready. So I got those three: Yan Xiaonan, Amanda Lemos, or Verna Yandaroba. The other people in the top 10, a lot of them, like 4 or 5 of them, already have fights booked as well. So
I think Lemos is probably most likely to happen. I would like to see that.
I like it
The
too.
one I would like the most, that was Yan. I think that would give Richie a good jump up in competition, give her a chance to really jump into that title picture.
Yan got ground game.
Give Yan a good chance to, hold her own, prove she's still there.
Defend her rank.
Yeah, so I think that would be the fight I'd like to see happen the most, but I think Lemos is probably the most likely to happen.
All right. Now let's continue to the main event with the fighting nerd. Caio Borralho defeated Jared Cannonier by unanimous decision.
And it was a fight where it was obvious Borralho won the fight.
Yep.
Cannonier had some moments. Not at all did he look like he got overpowered or anything, but it was just Borralho was the better fighter in the fight.
At times he did, in my opinion. I mean, Caio Borralho, they had similar total strike output, but Borralho landed double. Knocked him down.
Yeah, but then Cannonier hurt Borralho a few times.
There is obvious damage, but I think we agree, it's definitely clear the decision's right.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's clear the decision's right, but it was a very impressive performance. Your stock rises if you're Borralho, but if you're Cannonier, it's not like you came out and got dominated.
Yeah, it was great pace by both, especially for Cannonier, 40 years old.
It was honestly, as a decision fight, it was a very entertaining fight, very calculated. Both guys very skillful on the feet.
Yep.
But I think the whole story is Borralho. We have a new contender in the 185 division.
7-0 in the UFC.
7-0 in the UFC.
17-1 in his career.
He proved he can knock people out. He can go the distance. He has submissions in his game too.
Yup.
He's a likable guy. He has a good personality. He has the fake glasses. He's in a camp right now that's killing it with him, Parates, Gene Silva. There's one of the
Bruna.
Brazilian women fighters is in it too.
Bruna is her first name. Bruna Brazil. That's her name. Bruna Brazil.
So the fighting nerds, they're on the rise. Borralho, I think, is leading the charge.
Yeah, there's going to be a fighting nerd champ sometime soon.
I agree.
His call out, speaking of fighting nerd champ, his call out was DDP, Dricus du Plessis.
I mean, I get it, but that's not happening.
No. I always mention his call out. Sean Strickland, what do you think of that? We all know who Sean Strickland is. He's up there. He's waiting for a title shot.
I like it, but Strickland's fighting DDP next, I believe. Dana White said.
What about the winner of Whitaker versus Kamaev?
I think that's the most likely to happen, and I would like to see that. And it's pretty much winner gets a title shot.
Yeah, you have one more fight. In my opinion, Caio Borralho needs one more win, one more good win.
Ends up in a title shot.
And then he's ready for a title shot. Just because there's probably a title shot made that we don't know about for du Plessis in the future after he recovers. Not like
him versus
official.
Sean Strickland.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Dana White said it, so I'm assuming that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, sky's the limit, Borralho. I think he's a future. At least he's going to get a title shot in the near future. Great performance by him, though.
Yeah, and then the next time we're back for UFC Fight Night, Burns versus Brady. It's going to be fun because Gilbert Burns, Sean Brady. Gilbert Burns is actually the underdog right now, which I don't agree with. Sneak peek. But yeah, that's another Apex Fight Night, September 7th. So yeah, catch us then.
Peace.